Dear student friends, today we will look into the respiration in plants. As you know well, the respiration is a phenomenon found in almost all the organisms, but this respiration can be distinguished into two different types. As you know well, the respiration can be classified as direct respiration as well as indirect respiration. As you know well, the respiration if occurs without any developed respiratory system, then we call it as the without well developed respiratory system, then it is called as the direct respiration. And if the respiration occurs through well developed respiratory system, then we call it as indirect respiration. But in most of the plants, or in most of the organisms that we are going to observe, the primitive organisms like single cell organisms, for example, amoeba, for example, yeast cells, for example, bacterial cells, are the some of the organisms which are aquatic in nature, were able to respire through direct method through the cell membrane by the phenomena called diffusion or facilitated diffusion. But in most of the organisms, higher levels of the organisms, respiration occurs through indirect method through the well-developed respiratory system. And if you look into the respiration in case of plants, or if you can consider in case of higher organisms, it can be classified into two different types. One, it is called the aerobic respiration as well as anaerobic respiration. As you know well, anaerobic respiration defined as the respiration without the involvement of oxygen. If without the involvement of oxygen, the type of respiration is called as anaerobic respiration. If respiration takes place in presence of oxygen, then we call it as aerobic respiration. And this respiration can be observed in plants as well as animals. And try to concentrate on the respiration in case of plants. As we know well, the respiration it can be defined again into two different types. One, it is called as the physical respiration and other is called as physiological respiration. And this physiological respiration is also referred as cellular respiration. The physiological respiration is called as cellular respiration and physical respiration is generally called as breathing. And this breathing mechanism is not well developed in case of plant system, and it occurs only through the very specific and small creatures present in the plant that we may consider as it occurs through the stomata or it may occur through lentil cells. But not the much of the physical or the breathing is required in case of plants, as because the plants were able to produce carbon dioxide and plants were able to produce the oxygen. The carbon dioxide is going to be produced during the respiration phenomena and oxygen is going to be produced during the photosynthesis phenomena. Hence, the less amount of oxygen or less amount of carbon dioxide that are going to be breathed are exchanged in the plants. Hence, in most of the cases, we are going to concentrate on the physiological respiration or the cellular respiration in case of plants. Then what the physiological respiration means? The physiological respiration or the cellular respiration means we are going to observe the complex organic molecules. The complex organic molecules were break down into the simplest organic molecules that we are going to observe. For example, a simplest molecule. For example, consider the glucose molecule. When it undergoes respiration, it liberates the water as well as the carbon dioxide. But in case of photosynthesis, it occurs in the reverse. In presence of the sunlight, with the help of carbon dioxide and water, plants were able to synthesize the carbohydrate and they were going to release the oxygen due to the photolysis of water. And if this glucose needs to be broken down into water as well as the carbon dioxide, it requires some series of the physical biochemical reactions or biochemical steps that we can study. The first and foremost important step in the physiological respiration of plants can be considered as the glycolysis. And this is the first step in the physiological respiration of plants, glycolysis. The second one, what we are going to consider as the Krebs cycle. And prior to Krebs cycle, we need to consider the product of glycolysis is nothing but pyruvate that need to undergo oxidation. The third most important, it is called as electron transport chain. Electron transport chain. And these three are the most important steps for the release of energy as well as the simplest molecules. And in generally or in a specific manner we can define a cellular respiration is the process of breakdown of complex molecules into simpler molecules with a release of energy. That energy can be utilized by the plants for their other physiological activities. And here friends, we look into the one by one. The first and foremost important biochemical step, it is called as the glycolysis. And this glycolysis is also called as the EMP pathway. EMP pathway. What this EMP stands for? For the first time, the three scientists who were contributed for the identification and description of the respiration in case of plants, that is Embedden, then Maroff, as well as Parnas. And because of these three scientists' contribution for the development of the respiratory mechanism in plants, this plant process is called as EMP pathway. And first look into the first and foremost important mechanism that we are going to observe what the glycolysis means. The glycolysis means the breakdown of glucose molecule, one glucose molecule into two molecules of pyruvate. Two molecules of pyruvate are what we are going to consider as a pyruvic acid. And this process is referred as a glycolysis process. That you need to remember. The glycolysis is an anaerobic process, but it found in all the organisms, and it is the major step, and it does not require oxygen. And in the first step of glycolysis that we need to consider as the substrate, the respiratory substrate is a glucose molecule, and this glucose molecule undergo phosphorylation. That process of phosphorylation occurs in presence by utilizing one molecule of ATP. And when the molecule of ATP is consumed, that ATP is converted into ADP at the same time with the help of an enzyme called hexokinase. Hexokinase converts the glucose molecule into a glucose 6-phosphate. Glucose 6-phosphate is going to be formed. And this glucose 6-phosphate undergo isomerization phenomena. As we know that glucose 6-phosphate is converted into a fructose 6-phosphate. Fructose 6-phosphate. And here no energy is going to be consumed or no ATP is utilized in this process, but the enzyme responsible for conversion of glucose into a fructose molecule is called as a fructoisomerase, or generally we call it as isomerase enzyme, or in a specific manner. As you know well, the enzymes were going to be nomenclated or they were named based on the substrate or the type of the reaction. Hence, we are going to call this isomerase enzyme as the fructoisomerase enzyme, which helps to convert glucose 6 molecule into a fructose 6-phosphate. Then we are going to observe the second phosphorylation occurs here. The second phosphorylation occurs with the help of again utilization of one molecule of ATP. That ATP is converted into ADP. This conversion is also mediated by an enzyme called fructokinase, as the fructokinase is responsible for the conversion of fructose 6-phosphate into a fructose 1,6-biphosphate or bisphosphate. And this fructose 1,6-biphosphate undergo a cleavage that leads to formation. As you know well, the glucose is in a 6-carbon compound, glucose 6-phosphate is in a 6-carbon compound, and fructose phosphate is in a 6-carbon compound, and fructose 1,6-biphosphate is also a 6-carbon compound. And in the next process that we are going to observe, 6 carbon compound fructose 1,6-biphosphate is break down into 2 molecules of 3 carbon compounds that we are going to consider. One molecule it is called as DHAP, that is dihydroxy aldehyde phosphate, acetone phosphate, and other is called as glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate. Glyceraldehyde phosphate 3-phosphate. And these two molecules and this process, the DHAP as well as glyceraldehyde 3-phosphates were formed by the action of an enzyme called aldolase. And as you know well, the dihydroxyacetone phosphate as well as 3-glyceraldehyde or 3-glyceraldehyde phosphate were in equilibrium with each other, or they are interconvertible. And this process is mediated by an enzyme called triose phosphate. That you need to remember. The triose phosphate is the term used as because dihydroxyacetone phosphate is a 3-carbon compound, a glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate is also a 3-carbon compound. Hence we call it as the conversion or isomerization of dihydroxyacetone phosphate into glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate or vice versa. That is mediated by an enzyme called triose phosphate. And this glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate undergo a reaction that we are going to observe. There we are going to, with the utilization of one molecule of inorganic phosphate, that we are going to represent it as the PI. With the help of involvement of one inorganic phosphate, the phosphoglyceraldehyde or 3-phosphoglyceraldehyde or glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate undergo dehydrogenation by the enzyme called dehydrogenase. Dehydrogenase enzyme. This dehydrogenase enzyme is responsible for the conversion of glucose glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate or 3-phosphoglyceraldehyde into 1,3-biphosphate phosphoglyceraldehyde. 1,3-biphosphoglyceraldehyde. Then we are going to observe 1,3-phosphoglyceraldehyde undergo the reaction where we are going to observe they get converted into there here. We are going to observe the formation. One coenzyme is going to be reduced, that is NAD-nicotinamide dinucleotide is get converted into hydrogenated nicotinamide dinucleotide that we can represent as NADH. That is NAD is converted into NADH while it undergo the dehydrogenation or dehydrogenation from glyceraldehyde glyceraldehyde to 1,3-biphospho That next we need to consider here 1,3-phosphoglyceraldehyde undergo the dephosphorylation that leads to formation of a 3-phosphoglyceraldehyde or 3-phosphoglycerate. 3-phosphoglycerate are what we are going to consider it as 3-phosphoglyceric acid. Then we are going to observe it leads to formation of 3-phosphoglyceric acid or 3-phosphoglycerate. And this 3-phosphoglycerate, while converting 1,3-biphosphoglycerate into 3-phosphoglycerate, then we are going to observe the synthesis of one molecule of ATP. That is, ATP is going to be synthesized from ADP, and this reaction is mediated by an enzyme called phosphokinase. Then we are going to observe the kinase or the phosphokinase. And this 3-phosphoglycerate is being converted into a 2-phosphoglycerate, and this reaction is mediated by an enzyme called mutase. As because if you look into the 3-phosphoglycerate, if it is the case, and this is the first carbon, this is the second carbon, and this is the third carbon. At present, we are going to observe the phosphate is attached to the third carbon of the phosphoglycerate, but when it undergo mutation or when it undergo isomerization, then we are going to observe the phosphate is attached to the second carbon, and hence we are going to consider it as mutation, that is from the third carbon to the second carbon, the phosphate is going to be translated mediated by an enzyme called a mutation. As we were done, the 2-phosphoglycerate is get converted into phospho-NO, that we are going to observe the phosphoglycerate, 2-phosphoglycerate is get converted into a phosphophenol pyruvate, that we are going to observe phosphophenol pyruvate. This phosphophenol pyruvate it is converted into it is mediated by an enzyme called enolase. Later, the final step that we are going to observe, the first process pyruvate it is converted into a phosphate acid or what you are going to consider as pyruvate. And this reaction is mediated by an enzyme called kinase, and here also we are going to observe the kinase, and then here also we are going to observe the formation of one more molecule of ATP from the ADP. But when you consider here the pyruvic acid carbon compound, as we observe that one glucose molecule is able to produce a 3-phosphoric acid pyruvate molecules, as because the one glucose molecule undergoes split into 2 molecules of 3 carbon compounds, that is one that is dihydroxyacetone phosphate as well as glyceraldehyde. And one glyceraldehyde molecule is able to formation of one pyruvic acid, and similarly this dihydroxyacetone phosphate will convert into glyceraldehyde, and that glyceraldehyde is responsible for formation of one pyruvic molecule. And hence, because at the end of the glycolysis we came to know that the 2 molecules, the end product of glycolysis, if we consider, then we are going to observe during the process of that we are going to observe the 2 molecules of pyruvic acid were formed, and at the same time the 4 molecules of ATP were generated, and the 2 molecules of NADH were formed. And what are the consumable products that we are going to observe? The 4 ATP molecules are produced, 2 NADH molecules are produced, and 2 pyruvic acid molecules are produced. And at the same time, prior to splitting of glucose molecule into 3 carbon molecules, the 2 molecules of ATP were consumed during the conversion of glucose into glucose phosphate, as well as the fructose 1-phosphate into glucose 1,6 biphosphate. Hence, we are going to observe at the end, we are going to observe the 2 ATP molecules were produced and 1 NADH molecule equal to 3 ATP. Hence, we are going to observe 6 ATP molecules were produced, and totally 8 ATP molecules were produced during the glycolysis pathway, and 2 molecules of pyruvic acids were generated. And this is all about the glycolysis. As we consider, or in a brief, we need to consider it as the glycolysis is an anaerobic process of breakdown of glucose into 1 molecule of glucose into 2 molecule of 3 carbon compound, that is pyruvic acid, and at the same time the byproducts were produced where ATP molecule